in the previous lecture, we have started our discussion on directional derivative. Directional derivative, first of all, derivative means what? It is the rate of change happening with some function. If y is a given function, we write dy upon dx as uh, limit t approaches x, f of t minus f of x upon t minus s. This is one way of defining, or we may define this to be limit delta x approaches 0, f of x plus delta x minus f of x upon delta x. So if you see what is happening here, you may very well notice that if suppose this is the given function f of x, okay, if at this point only you are talking about the derivative, means you consider a very small change near this. So corresponding to this change, what is the change happening with this function? That ratio we call it as the derivative. So in order to approach to this point, we have this direction. Either we may come from left or we may come from right. There are two possibilities. So while discussing about the derivatives of one variable, we have the ideologies of right derivative and left derivative. But in two-dimensional thing, suppose that is function of two variable case, we take some point in xy plane. So let that point be called as x0 y0. In order to approach to this point, we may travel through this line, or we may travel through this some parabola like this. We may travel through this line. So there are infinite number of ways in which we can approach to this point. So in what way we are approaching, that is very important. So if we are about to say we are approaching this way, it has some direction. Okay, any point on a two-dimensional setup or in a three-dimensional setup is called as a vector, since it is moving this way. Okay, so based on it, and your del z upon del x and del z upon del y are the changes in x axis and y axis. That is, in these two directions we are talking about the change, and that is what we call it as the partial derivatives. Okay, in general we may talk about the rate of change in any direction. So direction only we are giving the importance. We are not giving the importance to the magnitude of this vector. This vector is parallel to this vector. Okay, so if you talk about a single vector which can be used to represent any number of vectors, or any parallel vector, is the unit vector. Unit vector means, if suppose this is called as unit vector, in the sense the absolute value is going to be 1. So only for unit vectors we define the concept of directional derivative, and we deal the ideas with which. Fine. If you are given a vector which is not a unit vector, then we define the corresponding unit vector as u vector upon absolute of u vector. Okay, this is how we define a unit vector, and with the help of unit vector, we define the directional derivative. This u has a coordinates u1, u2 means. Then the directional derivative, that is del f upon del s at a point x0, y0, is defined as limit s approaches 0, f of x0 plus su1 comma y0 plus su2 minus f of x0 y0 upon s. If the limit, if this limit exists, then we say this limit is the directional derivative. So is this clear till this? This is the definition of a directional derivative. Guys, are you clear with the definition?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we define something called gradient vector. So what do we mean by a gradient vector? It is the vector quantity. As the name suggests, it is a vector quantity. So it is denoted as del f. Okay, it is going to be a vector del f upon del x comma del f upon del y. If you have to write this in a vector notation, you would have del f upon del x I vector plus del f upon del y j vector. Till now we are talking about only the functions of two variable case. That is why we have this one. So with the help of a gradient vector, then we may write the directional derivative of the function at the point a b as the gradient vector evaluated at the point a b dot product with the unit vector u. So this is how we calculate the directional derivative, and based on these problems, based on this definition, we have seen some problems in the previous lecture. Now let us get into this lecture content. So your duf, we know that this may be written as like this, and using the properties of a vector algebra and vector calculus, we may write this as cos theta. So what is this cos theta? Here, if this is your u1 u2, and if you can find out the angle between this vector and this axis, then your u1 may be written as cos theta and u2 may be written as sin theta. So this is actually, this is the angle. This u may be represented in terms of theta using these formulas. That is the polar conversion. So since it is a unit vector, you have only one here. If not, you would have got the radius. That is going to be the absolute value of that is the magnitude of the vector. So with which we can discuss about some properties of the directional derivative. So let us discuss the properties now. Properties of directional derivatives. So the first property is that the function f increases most rapidly when cos theta equals 1. When can your cos theta be 1, guys?
Cos 0, sir.
So that is cos 0. This tells you that when theta equals 0 and u is in the direction of del f, okay, therefore your maximum value of a function, that is the maximum value of a directional derivative of a particular function, can happen only when theta is 0. That is, your unit vector is in the direction of your gradient vector. So in this case, this is going to be simply del f, and you know your u vector is 1 and cos theta is also 1. So it is going to be the maximum value is absolute of gradient. Okay, then similarly f decreases most rapidly. So when, what is the minimum value for a cos function? What is the
Minus
minimum?
1, sir.
Minus 1. And that will happen when theta is pi. Okay, so in this case your du cap f is going to be absolute of del f upon cos pi, which is going to be minus times of absolute of del f. Is the idea clear, class? Is the idea clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next is any orthogonal direction, that is the perpendicular condition that we are going to see as the next property. Any direction u cap orthogonal. Orthogonal is the generalized term for perpendicularity to a gradient f is a direction of zero change. So when we are in a need to find out the zero change situation, how to find this one? That is given by this property in F, because theta equals pi upon 2, and you are going to have your del UF is going to be absolute of del F and cos pi by 2, which is del F multiplied with 0, which is 0. Okay, suppose if you are asked to find out the direction in which your directional derivative attains its maximum, means you will have to identify your del F on the same direction. If you choose your u vector to be same as that of your del F, that in that direction your directional derivative is going to be maximum, and the maximum value is absolute of del F. The minimum value happens, and that is in the opposite direction of u cap. Okay, you just negate it and you can see the minimum value is minus times of del F. Okay, so is the idea clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we'll see a problem. So find the direction in which f of xy equals x square upon 2 plus y square upon 2 and increases most rapidly at the point 1 comma 1, and b decreases most rapidly at the same point. And the next one is, what are the directions of zero change in F at 1 comma 1. So how to find this one, pa? Any idea? So you are given some function, right? So you have this function. So for this function, you will have to identify the direction in which this function increases rapidly. So what do you think? What should we find first? Any idea? Class?
No, sir.
So first of all, you find your del f, that is del f upon del x, comma del f upon del y. So what is the partial derivative of the given function with respect to x? It is 2x upon 2. Am I right? Class?
Yes, sir.
So it
Yes,
is
sir.
x, and this is, and your partial derivative of f with respect to y. What is that?
2y into dy by dt.
See, class, it is a function of x and y. X and y are independent variables. You are differentiating partially with respect to y. Note my point. Note my words. You are differentiating partially with respect
Answer
to
is
y.
Y, sir.
So it is y. So you have found these two quantities. So from this, you will have to identify your del f evaluated at the point 1 comma 1. So if you evaluate this point at 1 comma 1, you are going to get what? 1 upon 1. Okay.
Sir, step mode once more, sir.
So from the given function, you are given a function that x square upon 2 plus y square upon 2. From this, first identify your gradient vector, that is del f upon del x and del f upon del y. Here it is a function of two variables. So these two variables are independent variables and you are differentiating partially with respect to x and then differentiating partially with respect to y. Okay, once you have found your gradient vector, that is del f, substitute substitute these points into this. Okay, actually if you want I can write it as a separate thing. So for A, you will have to identify what is del f evaluated at the point 1 comma 1. You will have to substitute x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 1. So your vector is going to be 1 comma 1. So from this what you have is your u vector is 1 comma 1. Now you will have to check what is your absolute of u vector. This is under root 1 square plus 1 square, which is going to be under root 2, which is not equal to 1. Therefore, it is not a unit vector. So the corresponding unit vector may be written as u vector upon absolute of u vector. So 1 upon under root 2, 1 comma 1. This is your corresponding u vector. Now you are asked to identify the direction in which this increases rapidly. So if you see here, that increases rapidly when your u cap is in the direction of delta f. So you can notice here, right? So here, when your u cap is in the direction of delta f itself, then you are going to have this one. Okay, so from which, what shall we do? If u cap is in the direction of delta f itself, then the direction increases rapidly. Okay, then your duf is going to be absolute of delta f. What is absolute of delta f? Class, what is absolute of delta f? It is under root 1 square plus 1 square.
Root 2, sir.
Root 2. So this is your maximum directional derivative. Similarly, if you try to identify your minimum one, then also if u cap is in the direction of minus delta f, then your duf is going to be minus times of this quantity. This is under root minus under root 1 square plus 1 square, which is minus under root 2, and in this case the directional derivative decreases most rapidly. Now you will have to identify the situation where the direction of zero change. Can you identify? So before going to the next one, in these two cases, what is the vector you will have to choose? This is the vector you have to choose in this category, and here this is the vector you will have to choose. Is this clear?
Yes,
If you
sir.
choose the given vectors, the ones that I wrote on red color, if you choose those as your direction, then you will get the maximum change. Okay, maximum and minimum change respectively. Now let us proceed to find out the last one. What are the directions of zero change? So it means what? You are expected to get del uf is, that is del f dot product with u cap, which has to be 0. What is here? These are some rough calculations that I am doing for the understanding of few people. For your understanding, your del f is 1 with 1, and you will have to identify a u vector u cap. Okay, so that is u1 u2, and it has to be a unit vector. Okay, when you make a product, it should be 0. So which means your u1 plus u2 should be 0. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
And you have very well found that your u vector is 1 upon under root 2 1 comma 1. So even if you have some constant which is multiplied with this, it can be 0. Even if your u1 plus u2 is 0, some constant multiple of the same quantity is going to be 0. So when here I have very well told you that your u cap can also be written as cos theta sin theta, right? So when you equate this to 1 upon under root 2 1 comma 1, you can see your cos theta is 1 upon under root 2, your sin theta is also 1 upon under root 2, which very well tells you your theta is what?
45 degrees.
So that is pi upon 4. Okay. So when you make some change, that is in the second case, what you are getting? You are getting your u cap to be minus times of 1 upon under root 2 comma 1 comma 1. So in this case, you get your theta to be minus pi by 4. Am I right? Class, is it minus
Yes,
pi
sir.
by 4 or
Yes,
something
sir.
else? Just think and say, is it minus pi by 4 or something else? I don't think it is pi by 4. You get
Minus 1 by root 2,
cos
sir.
theta is minus 1 upon under root 2. Sin theta is also minus 1 upon under root 2. So the diagram tells you that. So this is the diagram for sine, and yes, tell me from this. What is it? Either this is one idea. Okay, if you can think from this idea, you may very well proceed and see what is it going to happen here, or from these two. Okay, as of now you forget about all these things, just look at these two vectors alone, the vectors that we have written here. So you are seeing that your u1 and u2 can be 1 upon under root 2 is going to be your constant. So when you compare these things, you may very well notice your constant that I have specified here is 1 upon under root 2. So your u1 and u2 can be either 1 or minus 1. Am I right? From these two, if you notice, if you take this minus inside, you will have minus 1 comma minus 1. So your u1 and u2 can be either 1 or minus 1 from these two calculations. And you want, when you make a sum of u1 and u2, you must get 0. So if you have to make a sum of two quantities to get 0, this very well tells you that your u1 has to be equal to minus u2. If you choose your u1 to be 1, u2 is minus 1. Or if you choose this to be minus 1, this is 1. So there are two possibilities now. Okay, let me name them as v1 cap and v2 cap. These two are the directions in which you get a zero change. That is, if you just find out what is dv1 cap of f, that is del f upon v1 cap, and your dv2 cap f is del f into v2 cap. This is what? 1 with 1, 1 upon under root 2, 1 comma minus 1. You will have to take the dot product of these two things, and here also you will have to take the dot product of these two things. What would you get? Class, what would you get in these two cases? Class? Class, I am just asking you
1
to.
by root 2, comma minus 1 by root.
I am asking you to take the dot product of these two.
Zero, sir.
Yeah, so you would have 1 upon under root 2, which is a constant, so you take it outside. So you are going to have 1 minus 1, which is 0. The same is going to happen in the second case as well. Remember, I have written it as a coordinate. If I have to write this as a vector, I may write it as I vector plus j vector multiplied with 1 upon under root 2 I vector minus j vector. Can you now check your dot product? Class, can you check your dot product now? Tell me, what do you mean by dot product? Class, just tell me, what do you mean by dot product? Anyone?
So multiplication.
Don't have directions, but
Mm.
Yeah. How do you perform your dot product? That is my question.
X coordinate and Y coordinate.
So you just make the multiplication of the I coordinates in two vectors, addition with j coordinates, and if you have the third coordinate, then you will make the addition of the product. Am I right? I with I plus j with j plus k with k. This is how you perform your dot product. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
that is
Yes,
what
sir.
you will have to do. So every time it is not necessary to write the vectors in a vector notation. They may be written in coordinates as well. If it is written in coordinates, we will have to perform accordingly. Okay. So with which okay, now we are going to talk about the gradients and tangents to level curves. Do you remember what do you mean by a level curve? We have seen in the beginning of this unit only. What do you mean by a level curve? Suppose if you are given a function z is equal to f of xy, what do you mean by a level curve of this function? Class, any idea? Anyone? So it means you people don't know.
Sir, function has constant value.
Exactly. So from this function, if this is given, then your z is equal to c. That is f of xy equals c is called as level curve. Okay. Now let us consider a case. uh, Consider your f of xy is c along the curve r of r, along a curve r which is represented as some vector g of t comma h of t. So from this, what you can write? You can write your f evaluated at along this curve is given. So from which we can deduce something that is okay. Actually, along this curve means this is going to serve as your x coordinate. This is going to serve as your y coordinate. So your function will become f of g of t comma h of t, which is equated to c. Okay, and if you differentiate these quantities, you would get del f upon del x multiplied with actually sorry, del f upon, I think, am I going right? Yeah. So your x is replaced by g here. So del x upon del t, this is what we would get. But this is a function of single variable, so it is not del, it is d. Plus del f upon del y multiplied with dy upon dt. And this going to be equal to 0. Here we have taken along this curve. So here your x is g of t and y is h of t. So from this, what you can do furthermore is that del f upon del x, because f involves x and y. So we keep x as it is, and let us rewrite this as dg upon dt plus del f upon del y multiplied with dh upon dt equal to 0. So from this, I am writing del f upon del x comma del f upon del y as a vector dot product with dg upon dt comma dh upon dt equals 0. So is the calculation clear to you people? Guys, is the calculation clear?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
So here what you can do is that you can write this as your gradient vector and this is your dr upon dt. Because if you notice here, r is a function of only t, that is your r of t is a curve that is written as g of t I cap plus h of t j cap. So this is a curve on a two-dimensional thing, okay, two-dimensional space. So if you find what is your dr upon dt, it is going to be g prime at t I vector plus h prime at t j vector. If you write this in a vector notation, it is going to be g prime at t and h prime at t. So this is what we write it as dr upon dt. So combining these things, what we have is del f upon dr del f dot product with dr upon dt is 0. So from this, what we conclude is that at every point, whatever may be the point that you take in the domain of a differentiable function f of xy, the gradient of f is normal to the level curve through x0 y0. What do you mean by normal? You know, what do you mean by a level curve? What do you,
Perpendicular.
sorry, what do you mean by normal?
90 degree to the tangent, sir.
Yeah, exactly. So here what we have done is, we know what do we mean by a level curve. Whatever may be the function, you take a particular point and you try to identify some level curve which passes through that point. Okay, your gradient vector is going to be the normal to the level curve at normal to the particular level curve that we have found. Okay, so now we will work out a problem based on this. So find an equation for the tangent to the ellipse x square upon 4 plus y square equals to at the point minus 2 comma 1. So if you, okay, let us start our solution and write the rest of the things. So we are given the ellipse x square upon 4 plus y square equals 2. So from which the general equation of ellipse, if we write, it is going to be this one plus y square upon under root 2 whole square equals what? Sorry. This is the general equation of ellipse. Am I right? Class, am I right? Did I write the given ellipse in a general form?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Correct, sir.
So,
Yes.
from which if I try to draw uh, the ellipse, I would have something like this. Let this point be 1, this is 2, and of course this is 2 root 2, 1, 2, and this would be actually minus 2 root 2, minus 2, minus 1, and here we'll have 1 minus 1. So minus 2 comma 1, so minus 2 comma 1, so this is the point that we are talking about. Okay, so if you find the tangent line, sorry, so if you find the tangent line at this point, it is somewhat like this. So this is the thing that we are talking about. Is the problem clear to you people now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so with which how are we going to proceed? That is the question. Let us consider f of xy as x square upon x square upon 4 plus y squared minus 2. Okay, find your gradient first of all. So your gradient of f is going to be 2x upon 4 comma 2y. So this is simply x upon 2 comma 2y. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
And evaluate your gradient at the point minus 2 comma 1. So if you evaluate, you are going to have minus 2 upon 2 comma 2 times of 1, which is minus 1 comma 2. You have found your gradient. And now you check this. What is given? The remark that we have written here. At every point, your gradient is going to be the normal to the level curve. If this is the normal to the level curve through this point, what can be your tangent equation? Too much of geometry is involving. Am I right? The equation of the tangent is what they have said. Actually, del f whatsoever your r, so your r prime of t is going to be 0. So if you identify what this is, then you are done. Okay, so your tangent is going to be this quantity minus 1 with x minus x naught. So what is your x naught? It is plus minus 2. So minus 2 plus your this quantity 2 with y minus 1 equals 0. So it is going to be minus 1. So here minus minus becomes plus and you have minus outside. When it comes inside, you are going to have minus 2 plus 2y minus 2 equals 0. So equation of the tangent is x minus 2y equals 4, or we may write this as x minus 2y equals minus 4. Okay, did you get the idea? Class, did you get the idea?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we have few properties of the gradients. That is the algebra rules. So I am not going to explain much with this algebra. I'll just state the properties. That is the sum rule. Hope you know del f plus del g, and the second one is difference. Third one is constant multiple rule. Fourth one is product rule. The last one is quotient rule. Should I explain what do we mean by these rules, or you can understand what I am trying to say here? Class? Class, are you listening?
Yes, sir.
So let me simply write down all these things. So these are the rules that we have. F del g upon g squared. So now I give you a problem that you may try to verify these rules. You are given a function of xy, which is x minus y, and your function of gy is 3y alone. So if you find out your del f, it is going to be del f upon del x comma del f upon del y. So which is 1 comma minus 1, and your del g is del g upon del x comma del g upon del y. This is 0 comma 3. And if you hope you know to find out f plus g, f minus g, and all these stuff you can see and verify whether these are satisfying these rules or not. I leave this as an exercise to you people to check these things. Okay, so I'll specify this as an exercise. Okay, the same ideology can be extended to functions of 3 variables as well. So that is the last ideology of this directional derivatives. So to functions of 3 variables we can extend these things. Okay, let me give you a function which is x cubed minus x y squared minus z, and given some point which is 1 1 0, and in the direction v vector is 2i minus 3j plus 6k. Okay, if we try to find out the directional derivative from this, first of all let us see what is absolute of v vector. It is under root 2 squared plus minus 3 squared plus 6 squared, which is 4 plus 9 plus 36, which is under root 49, which is 7. Therefore your v cap is going to be 1 upon 7 times of 2i minus 3j plus 6k. Okay, hence your dv vector f is going to be del f with this v cap. So what is del f? It is del f upon del x comma del f upon del y with del f upon del z, has to be evaluated at the point p naught with your v vector. So your v vector may be written as 1 upon 7. Instead of vector notation, I am converting to coordinate notations. That is 2 minus 3 6. Okay, so initially what is del f upon del x? It is 3x squared minus y squared. Del f upon del y is minus 2xy. Del f upon del z is minus 1, has to be evaluated at the point p naught, and we have this quantity which is there as it is. So this is when you, what is your p naught? It is 110. Okay, let me write here, p naught is 110. 0. If we substitute these points, it is going to be 3 minus 1 minus 2 minus 1 multiplied with 1 upon 7, 2 minus 3, 6. So it is 2 minus 2 minus 1 with 1 upon 7, 2 minus 3, 6. So this 1 upon 7 is a scalar. We shall take it outside. 2 with 2 is 4. Minus 2 with minus 3 is plus 6. Minus 1 with 6 is minus 6. So it is 4 upon 7. This is your directional derivative. And as the continuation to this, the maximum change. So the maximum change would happen. Okay, let me write it in color. The maximum change happens in the direction of del f, which is what? 2 minus 2 minus 1. So this is the del f quantity at the point. So at the particular point, what will give you the maximum change? We are identifying such thing. And minimum change happens in the direction of minus del f, and that is minus 2 to 1. Okay.